Hello King's House, it's Jenny here. I do hope, like me, this video finds you blessed and highly favoured, a magnet for miracles, the solution to someone's problem and the answer to someone's prayer. I'm so blessed to be able to have this opportunity to begin to share what I believe is the ministry for me within the King's House. And of course, that is only one thing: health and happiness. So we have having a month of talking about restoration, and that's a fantastic place in which we need to start. We need to restore our health back to its whole self. We need to repair, refresh, restore, and rebuild our immune system so that we are able to withstand not just this pandemic, but any pandemic or any sickness or disease us. And there are just a few things I want to share with you today on this particular video, but I'll alternate the videos into movements and different things as the months go on, so that we're in a position where we become enlightened, empowered, encouraged, and enabled. So we can remove the fear that's being pumped at us daily, and we can actually restore our faith. So that's all we're doing, is literally we're freeing ourselves. We've got fear removed, so we are enlightened and encouraged. We have our faith restored, so we are empowered and we are enabled. So we know already that through all things, through Christ, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. And these things aren't that hard. So in order for God to do the super, we have to do the natural. And then we get the supernatural benefits that come from us doing our part and God doing his part. So he would just super up our natural. So the natural inclination for us is to want to recognize what this virus does, what it attacks, and what we can do so that, one, we can protect ourselves, but two, we don't become a burden to the NHS. So if we keep ourselves healthy and whole, then whether it's this virus or something else, we won't have to be that patient going to see the NHS, and we only need their help in unforeseen circumstances. That's how it's supposed to be. So the first thing we can do, and what a beautiful message that Pastor Shola shared yesterday, is our mind. The first principle of total health in the check system is thoughts, because every thought we have creates an emotional response. That emotional response will create a hormone response. That hormone response will create an organ response, because an organ has to release the hormone that it's been called upon based on the thought and the emotion, and then that will then show up in the body. So it shows up in one of two ways. If we have good thoughts that create great emotions, that release our happy hormones, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, then it was going to show up in our body in terms of our posture, our movement ability. It's also going to stimulate one of two pathways that run the body. So the parasympathetic pathway is the pathway that says life is great, life is good, relax, restore, repair, rebuild, digest, sleep, make babies. That's the pathway we need to stimulate. That is how it shows up in the body. Then the body responds accordingly. We can digest our food effectively. We don't have bloated tummies. We have great transit times. We don't get backed up. We sleep better. The quality of our sleep, our mental clarity is good. We become more creative. That is the extent to which our thoughts can actually impact our body and lock in as something happy that allows us to be open and ready to receive. Or if we have a bad thought or a poor thought, or as Pastor Shola shared yesterday, we harbor that thought and it releases a stress response, then that's the side of the pathway that says we're going to either fight or run, because that's the only two choices we have. So, hey, no time to repair, no time to refresh, restore, rebuild. No, we're not digesting any food today. Not right now. Let's store it as fat because we might need it later on, because we're not sure when the next meal comes. And no, we can't make babies right now. It's not going to happen. And that then shows up and releases. So now we've got the kidneys working harder. We've got the liver working harder. We've got the pancreas working harder, because the cortisol, the insulin, the adrenaline, the adrenals, everything's firing in the wrong way. So we have to decide which pathway we want to stimulate and how it will then show up in the body, because it can lock itself into the organs and joints and literally make us not be able to move freely. So the first pathway opens us up to receive. The second one closes us down in terms of protection. So thoughts is really, really important. And as Pastor Shola said, don't allow the negative thoughts to come in. Hold them captive, push them back out, and we're safe. The second thing we need to do is breathe. Because when our thoughts create an emotional response, and a hormonal response, and an organ response, what happens is we either go, life is really good, I can breathe, or we go, and we change our breathing. Now, with this particular virus, it tends to impact the bottom 2/3 of the lungs. If you place your hands at the base of your rib cage, you don't need to see my rib cage, you know where your rib cage is, your lungs end there. If you take a deep breath in and it's less than 2 seconds, much less 1 second, then your breath can only be here. If your breath is 1 to 2 seconds, it's only here in the chest, which means the bottom 2/3 of the lungs, 70-80% where the air and the blood flow is, that is not being used. That's not being pushed around. Our nutrition is carried around in the blood, and that needs to be pushed out of the lungs. We need to use those lungs to expand and relax. We want the expansion of the lungs. We want the expansion of the diaphragm so that organs have their natural rocking motion, and that's what keeps the life and the vitality of our organs. Now, this particular virus is attacking the bottom 2/3 of the lungs where things are congested. Because we're shallow breathers or chest breathers, we're not using 70-80% of the oxygen in our system. Thereby, anything from the belly button below takes longer to heal. But also, if it's not moving, it becomes stagnant. When the virus gets into the lungs, that's where it proliferates, and that's when you have a problem. Your breathing should be between optimal. If you can do 1 to 2, 3 breaths a minute, fantastic. That's 10 seconds in, 10 seconds out. But really, you should be breathing really between 6 to 10 breaths a minute, which means you're 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, you're 6, or slightly shorter. But if you're breathing in excess of 10 breaths per minute, then you need to look at your breath, because then you need to look at your oxygen capacity, how you're using that, and what's happening in the body and what's flowing. If you suffer from swollen joints and extremities or cold, look at your breath. So that's number 2. 3 minutes without breath, the brain begins to die. So breath is life force energy, and it's completely linked into what you respond to and how you respond with your thoughts, emotions, hormones. Number 3, water. We're 85% water. Brain, 84.5% water. Kidneys, liver, all the organs in the body. Only the bones and fat have 20 and 22% water. Every other thing in our body is water. So, water everywhere, my mum used to say, and not a drop to drink. We need to be able to be drinking half our body weight in fluid ounces. Anything that happens inside the body happens at the cellular level, right at the base of tiny, tiny cells that make us up. So in order for us to be hydrated at the cellular level, we need to be drinking half our body weight in water. And to give you a clue, a 9-stone person would be drinking almost 2 litres a day. So that just gives you an idea. Or 1.7 litres a day, sorry. So that's almost, still 1 3/4, almost 2 litres a day. So that's what we need to be thinking about and drinking. If you're only drinking less than a litre, you need to be looking at your water intake. That's the most important thing. Set a timer, 15 minutes. All you need to do, just a sip, just so you do not get thirsty. Thirst is a sign of dehydration. Dehydration affects brain cells. So let's try to avoid that. Number 4, sleep. The fastest way to get sick is to lack sleep. The body does its physical repair between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Your psychogenic between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Your liver flushes between 1 and 3. Your lungs between 3 and 5. Your colon between 5 and 7. It's said that if you have a bowel movement first thing in the morning, it's a sign of a healthy digestive system. And the foundation of your health is in your gut. Everything starts in the gut. That gut feeling, gut sickness. The gut is the mother system. The digestive system is the mother system of the body. So understanding digestion and understanding how the body likes to flush itself out is really key to getting well. But understanding that we follow the rhythms of the sun is imperative for us to understand that we can make ourselves well between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So the question is, what's our legacy? Is it about money and things, or is it about people and relationships? the Holy Spirit lives inside of us in this temple. Does this temple get the rest that the Holy Spirit wants? Much less us. That's the question you have to answer for yourself. Number 5, obviously, is food. You have to use foods that are going to actually help you and heal you. As Black people, we lack selenium. So I have many things written down. We actually lack selenium, and that actually can be detrimental to men and with prostate issues. And prostate is a Black issue more so than white. So let's look at making sure we have foods that have, there's Brazil nuts have selenium, sardines. Look at foods. Vitamin C, obviously, collagen, so it helps the structure of bones and keeps things tight, elasticity in the skin, the face, but also it's a major immune system booster. We need vitamin B12, nervous system, brain, anti-inflammatory. So we want anti-inflammatory foods. We want foods that are actually going to help us digest things really well, that are going to help the muscles remain pliable and strong, the joints, the bones. We protect ourselves. So food is number 5, and I'll do that on a topic on its own separately. And then lastly, we want movement. And if you find it hard, I'm not talking about, there's a difference between movement and exercise. Exercise is something you set yourself out to do. I'm going to do it for a set time every day, and that's good to do. But if you look at it as movement rather than exercise, which is something that many people hate, then you will move. The body wants to move, eat well, move, and be healthy. So it starts in the mind and it ends in the gut, but it also needs to move. Natural primal patterns: push, pull, lift, squat, lunge, twist, jump. They're natural patterns. Take yourself out for a brisk walk for 20 minutes every day. It's a great way of stimulating that pathway I talked about. Everything in the world is great. Stimulate that pathway. Straightforward movement patterns. We squat to get in and out of the cars, to sit on the chair, to sit on the toilet. So learn to be able to squat in a way is not detrimental to your knees or your back. Protect your back because the messages run through the spine, up and down and out to the extremities. Protect your joints because you need those for propulsion and moving forwards. Protect your posture because that allows everything to work well and keeps you youthful and allows us to come out of this on the other side and be good. So I've run past my time. I really hope this helps. If you want any more information or you want to speak to me, then you can email me at pelvicsecrets@icloud.com, and I'll be happy to speak to you, or find me in church, or email the King's House and admin@thekingshouse.co.uk, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So until next time, in health and happiness, stay blessed, stay whole.